Today we will continue the lecture last week about the writing a report because, as I said, after doing research, it's really important to have a good report because regardless the quality of your research, but your report is like it's not good, so nobody can understand, and then it will be like underrated. And another section is we will have like question and answer about the exam, like a midterm exercise and the final report. So I hope that you all received my email about the report.
Yes, we have received your email.
Okay, so later today you will have like a time to ask any question about your report, about the topic, and about the way you have to do and the way you submit your report. But first of all, I will share my screen to continue the lecture we were discussing last week. So, oh, I think, okay, last week we stopped here, right? Do you remember? Yeah, so I remember last week we also talked about the boundaries of the research. So we stop at the fifth part here and then provide definition of the key concepts. And here is the introduction of the report. So let's have brief remind you here for the main contents of a research proposal. So yeah, and why I mentioned about the research proposal, not the final report for your research. There are two reasons. The first one, the research proposal is quite like a summary, a kind of summary of your research, even before you doing this, because for research proposal, mostly you have to repeat almost only key contents, key issues from your research. And the second reason is now you need to write your research proposal or any application proposal for your intensive, for your next study. So the research proposal is more important for you at the moment. So that's why I choose this one. And I hope after this course, you will complete a research proposal, and it's really helpful for you to apply an internship or apply a PhD study, for example. Of course, it cannot be like the final one you will send to other organizations, but at least will have a draft, the very full draft of your final research at the end of your course. And here we talking about the introduction of your research, but here you can see the research problem and important you have a research hypothesis, if any. Why, if any? Because some of you may say, okay, in our research field, it's not easy to define a research hypothesis. But my recommendation is you should find at least one hypothesis to test. It's really helpful, and it's the way you show people that you understand what you are doing and how, like the final objective of your research. And because when we talk about the research, we talk about the way we work, the way we do something to find out, to answer unknown questions. So if you have hypothesis, that means you have questions, and you will answer it, you will confirm it, which one is true. And next point is the boundaries of your research. Of course, for one research, it cannot cover all issues in one field. So you have to narrow it by like set boundaries for it, geographer boundary, or time boundary, or object boundary. So you have to define very carefully, and this one is it's not optional. So you have to set it and provide key definitions of, like, definition of key concept. For example, if you you propose very new concept and very new topic, so you should spend some time to explain what it is, even in your introduction. So in the introduction, you you have to state the current lack of understanding or technology that need to be done in this proposal, and like you have to emphasize the importance of your research. Why you have to do this research? Because of some like in the literature. I think I think we passed this one already. Okay. For literature review, so this part you will give credit to those who have laid the groundwork for your research. And what difference between literature review in a research proposal and in the research report? In the research report, you can present, like, you can spend more time to present what have been done in the same topic and the background of your problem. But in the proposal, it should be more condensed and shorter. So go directly to the research that you will base on that research to do your research. So you can take like only one or more, like two or three citations to say that, okay, I will base on this, and what I can learn from this, and what I will develop for the research to continue in your research. So by this way, you will show your knowledge of the research problem, and also you will somehow prove what you will do now is like based on reliable background and methodology, and it existing already, it's well known already, or is at least it's like a ratified already, because it should be from famous sources, like a book, a famous book, or in the scientific journals. Yes, and then this one, in this part, you also have to convince your reader that your research proposal will make a significant and substantial contribution. So, like, okay, the existing literature is like this, and I will base from those, and then I will complete this aspect of the current literature. And next part is a research method. This one is to be the most important part in your research proposal or your research. Because without a good research method, you cannot like prove your results. You cannot convince people, okay, what I'm going to do is correct. So that's why this one, no matter it's long or short, but it should be the most important part, and then you have to spend the most time on this and make sure that it's correct, even it's perfect. Because for some readers or for some um, member of evaluation board, they will look at the research method first. After reading your title, they will go directly to the research method to see you are using good method or not. Without this part, good part, you cannot move on with any other process. And that's why try to make it understandable and visible if possible. For example, consider to you catching image rather than words. So show the people you know how to do, and your research is based on a good method. And also you show your expertise and experience, and you can also like present. You can write, okay, you have been done something with this method or that method. If you have a number of methods in your study, so remember that for a research proposal, it's not simply you are presenting your research output, but here in the proposal, you have to convince people, I can do it. I have very good research proposal. I have a good objective, and now I will use this method to complete, to solve the problem. And I can work with it, and I am very familiar with this method already, to show your capability to deal with the problems. So even in this part, still you can have your comments, or you are evaluations on the research method, but not do that in the normal research report. Yes, and here you can see, yes, but the best discovery is the one we could not predict when preparing proposal. Why? Because sometimes we define the problem, we define research method, and we even like expect or estimate what we will get after completing the research. But sometimes on the way you do your research, you suddenly find out something interesting. So we should open for that, and even you have to foresee unknown problem, unknown output. So it's like it depends on your experience and also your sense, the sixth sense in the field you are doing. So more research you do, more knowledge you have. So you will have more sense to estimate or to expect what you will get doing your research and prepare for that. So for research method, you will see here the research design. So first, with some topics, we only have like a questionnaire study. That means you will do survey, you will do with a different kind of forms, as we discussed earlier, like the direct, the questionnaire online questionnaire, or survey, like a direct survey to the people, and we have to meet each interviewee, or whatever, like open discussion with the experts, or another form of doing research. And I think it's very, very familiar for science and technology. It's lab experiment. So you will do many activities in the lab with equipment, with materials. So in your research, you have to define, or you have to present what you have to do for doing in or for completing your research. Subject or participants in your project. That means you will work with people, or you will only work with machines, with materials. So also like it depends on the design, the research design in the previous step. Instrument, yeah, what and why, and are they valid or reliable? So in your research proposal, you said I need some instrument or machines to complete it, but it seems like okay, you cannot get very expensive instrument as you wish. So how you can convince people that you can do your research if you do not have any like tools to do so? So instrument here can be like a machine, material, or even like computer tools, because for some specific topics you have to use very specific computer tools, softwares to do so, and those software sometimes are very expensive. But if you say okay, I have to use that software to complete or to simulate our research, and the question is how you can get that software. It like you may have already in your lab. It's okay, it's fine, because you are studying, and then you are working for one research institute, and you have already like your company have already, so it's okay. Otherwise, like, okay, you write this proposal even to ask about like could funders can buy it for you. And if they see it's really necessary and it's very important to buy it, okay, and then they can like provide funding for you for both like softwares and other instrument you need. And the next part you have to mention in your research proposal is procedure, the plan of actions, like the like activities plan. So you will have table to present when you start your research and how many activities, key activities and sub activities under each key activity, and how long that it take for each activity. So you start from May 2023, for example, and then it takes 1 month for the first action, like literature review. You need 1 month to complete that one because you have to read many documents, articles, books, and then you have to do summary and then you have to write. So you say, okay, I need 1 month for this part. And then you will have to prepare like equipments, instruments, and all other necessary things for your research. And it takes 1 week. So you say, okay, 1 week. And remember that activities, maybe in one research, we have many activities, like not only 10, but like 20 or even 50 activities, single activities. But you have to classify them in groups, and then each group of activity will support for one objective of your research. And for each, and we only define, because if you define timeline for each activity, single activity, it should be like too complicated to follow, and it's less flexible for you. So often when we classify all activities in groups, and then you will define timeline for each group of activity only. So inside the one group, you have more flexibility to organize your work later on. So reader or reviewer, they just concerned about, okay, for this group of activity, you need like how many days, how many weeks, and is it like reasonable or not? So they should not like care about timeline for each single activity. Next step is reasons. Of course, they do not expect you present reasons when you submit your proposal, because often you do not, like you have not started your research. But remember, sometimes you are working on a research already, and now it's time to write research proposal for additional funding, or like, okay, you are working with your professor at school already in one research, and after a few months you will need to do an internship, or you will want to continue your research for next study degree. So you are writing a research proposal, but the research is done partially already. That in that case, you can even present some existing output is more helpful. It shows that okay, you have capability to continue or to do your research because you have started already and you got some results already, and it's very promising. But in the case you do not have any results, still you have to present some idea about what kind of results you expect and what kind of results you will get if you complete your research. Is also important because regardless very good research proposal, research method, but you expect less results or the results you expect is not the one they need, is so your research proposal will not be successful. So also spend time to think about if we complete our research, what kind of results and how detailed of your results you can get later on. In a research proposal, you need also like a discussion and conclusions. Why discussion? Discussion here, that means you will argue your method, your reasons, and convince reader, reviewer the potential impact of your research proposal. Based on what you presented during like research methodology and research output, you have to show the contribution, potential contribution of your research to the current literature. And also, you have to present the limitations and weakness of your research. Of course, they do not expect you will propose a perfect research. So it's better than like, okay, you present or you find out some limitation by yourself, but we can present in wisely way. For example, when we talk about the boundary of your research, that means we say we cannot cover everything. We only can cover a certain area of research and within a certain timeline. And also, like, do you have more time? For example, for your internship, you will have only from 3 months to 6 months. That means, and including all other administration steps or so. So after only 3 months or 6 months, you have to complete a report. So you see, that means time for doing research is even less than that. Let's say like 2 months and 5 months at the maximum. And that means you can present or you can discuss, okay, because of time constraint, because of the border, like a geographical boundary, that means you cannot go like to all areas to do research. So I will do only in this area. That means it can have some limitation on the the output. So it's when you present the limitation or weakness of your research, it doesn't mean that you are not qualified, but also vice versa, it shows you understand your research. You know what is limitation or weakness of your research, and then it's not negative part, but also like a positive part for your research proposal. Because whenever you understand, you can find yourself the limitation and weakness of your research. That means you know how to improve it, and you just need time and support to do so. Yeah. The next one is a reference. In this part, the last one, you will have to list the source you have used for your research, or you will use for your research. And again, citation in this case is very good, because you are showing that you have experience in this field and you can complete your research as you presented. And we will talk about how to organize a reference later on. Yeah, your CV always together with your research proposal. So take care of your CV too. This lecture a few years ago, I present in another course for UTH, scientific communication skills. So have any of you attended that course earlier? No, no one. Yeah. Yes, it should be about 5, yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago. Yes, here is challenges to for a good research proposal. That means sometimes some things you have to foresee or to improve when you are writing a research proposal, like a organization and structure. So that means your research proposal is not well structured. But I expect when you follow part of this in this lecture, I will share with you later on. So you will have like a better organization of your research proposal. So even with some parts you do not have enough information, but still you have to try to fill in with some writing. Otherwise, it seems like you lack one part of your research proposal. Also, that advice for your final report for this seminar. And lacking focus, unity, and coherence. That means reading your research proposal, people have to, reader or reviewers have to see current ideas. For example, from the beginning of your research proposals, from the title until the end, like a reference part, they know, okay, which topic or which area you are talking about. So do not go too many directions and do not lost your way in between. So focus on the content you are writing. Or some other challenges, for example, you repeat the content. For example, in the introduction, you talk many about that, and then after that, in discussion, you repeat again. No new contents. Only in the summary, in the abstract, you can repeat what you will write in the main contents. But in the main content itself, you should not repeat from one part to others. And try to find the most updated and like well-known and famous like papers or books that like people in your field know about it, and then it's easier for them to evaluate your research. But remember that you cite a paper, it doesn't mean you just take ideas from them and then, okay, they said this part, that part. No, you have to evaluate, you have to make comments on the paper you cite, what you learn from them, and what is the good point on your research and what is not suitable for your research. We just say like not suitable, that means I have to use various tools or ideas or software or like even like hypothesis to do so. So that means you have to give your own evaluation always. When you do literature review, when you do presenting research method, or when you discuss after presenting the results, always show what you are thinking about your research proposal and what you want to do. Keep your own idea on your research proposal. Do not just repeat works from others. Depending too much on the secondary source. So why? Because if we only use secondary data, that means data from other research, other like from existing literature or database. It's okay, it's still okay. It really depends on like what topic you are going to do or the scope of your research. But try to find some or try to work on primary data. So do you know what kind of like a secondary data and primary data? And you distinguish between two kinds of data? Any of you? Okay, so for the primary data, that means you have to collect data yourself. You have to do experiment yourself. And for example, you do a survey, like you want to find out the relationship between, let's say, which what topic? Any you can suggest one research topic? Yeah, it's many. Okay, so we just want to see the relationship between price of electricity and the consumer behavior. For example, when we increase electricity price 10%, how this increments will affect on the customer behavior. And of course, for this topic, we can find data on internet, on the current report, and then you will make like a summary, or you even can do very nice analysis with a statistical analysis or what else. That is like a secondary data. But if you can add some more primary data, that means you do survey yourself. You can create a survey form. You go to the like one area, whatever, like in one building in a city or in a village, and then you will ask people about their behavior when they see an increment in electricity price. So the answer, you will get it, you note it down, you fill in your survey form. So all information from your survey is primary data. Primary data means you will take it, you create it by yourself, it's not taking from other sources. And then here you can see one challenge is here is like you do not have primary data, or you have quite little primary data. You only do analysis on the secondary data. So remember this, and you have to mention it clearly in your research proposal, in the research method, because in the research method you also have to present, okay, what tool you use and what data you have to use and where you take it. Here you can see some common mistakes when writing your proposal. The first one is you do not provide the proper context to frame your research questions. Again, we see this one in the introduction part, like background of your research and key ideas of your research. And because you will have very limited areas to write this one, so sometimes you do not provide a good context it can be too general to frame your research question, or it's too specific to frame your research questions. So an advice here is try to make it like fit with your research question, the level or the scope of your research. So you have to write a proper context, not too general and not too specific. It should fit with your research question in terms of scale, scope, and the content. The second mistake is about boundary conditions of your research. So often, even in the main research report, you forget this part. You do not define boundary of your research. And that is one very common mistake. So as we said about like the importance of the research boundary, you have to write this in your research proposal. Here is like have to, because it's really necessary. Otherwise, people may say, okay, it's not true, because all research should under the boundary conditions. Outside of this condition, everything may be not true. Our research, the output may be right, may be correct, only in one defined boundary. Like, okay, your research finding can be right in this province, but not in other province. Within this condition, the weather condition in the hot, in the tropical countries, but not in other countries, other continents. So that's why we have to set boundary for that. Cite landmark studies. That means you select not very good studies to cite, because you can see now, whenever you want to do something, you can find hundreds of studies writing about it. How to select good studies among hundreds, thousands of them to cite in your study. That is very hard work. But if you read more, if you do more research, or even you can go to like professors or other like experts to ask them to verify with them about the studies you selected for your research. Yeah, it's very necessary to do so. If you're not confident in yourself when selecting studies to cite in your research, or even you select some very landmark studies already, but you did not pick good part or right contribution of those research. So that is not good either. So try to, because we have very limited area to present key point. So in that case, try to select the most important part from previous research and present it in your research proposal. The next one is like you do not stay focused on the research question. Like you are very interested in the topic, and then you want to write everything about that topic. But do not focus on only on research question, because on your writing in your research, it should focus on like research question, research hypothesis, because at the end of the day, you have to answer on research question and you have to confirm your hypothesis. That is the most important and the final objective of your research. So stay focused on that one. Yeah, and also like you do not have a current argument for in your research in the discussion part. Yeah. Sometimes when we write report, we often focus on what we are good at or what we are interested in. So that's why sometimes we present a lot of time on minor issues, but for major issues, we do not provide enough details. So an advice here is we have to define which one is more important, because we cannot write too long proposal. So we have to define, okay, for this part, I will spend only one short paragraph. But for other one, like for research question or for method, we have to spend 1 page or even like a 1.5 page to present, to write. And in the method, research method, for example, you will have to present about the method. You have to like present a tools or calculation or functions or data. But let's see, if you want to focus on data, because you will have like a different way to connect data or to analyze data, it's good to do so. Because if the tool you will use is quite well known already, so do not spend much time on that, because it seems in your field of research, everybody know about that tool. So do not waste your time to present the tool, but present the data you collect, how to collect, and the method to analyze or to pre-process your data. So try to focus on what is important or what is the most part you want to show with readers or reviewers. And about the citation is like incorrect references is really like you should avoid it. And also like not to do is too long or too short. Too short, that means people may not like get own ideas about your research. But if it's too long, so they will lost their concentration on your research proposal. So it's hard for them to catch your ideas, because they do not often reviewers, they do not have much time to read on the long proposal. So try to make it like a condensed. Yeah, experiments is really important. Of course, you can ask professor and your friends who, for example, you want to apply for an internship. So you should ask people before you already got the same position at the same company or institute, or for a study. So who you want to apply for a study and scholarship. So you also should ask people who have awarded the scholarship, that scholarship already, because the real experiments is really important. So try to talk, to discuss, and get advice from those people. Do you have any questions about the main contents of the research proposal? Okay, if you do not have any comments, so now I want to take a screenshot. So please open your camera. Okay, so thank you very much. So you can turn off your camera now. Share my screen. So any of you work with Rotego? Hello. The question is like any of you have used Rotego for your writing? Of course, it's not compulsory to use Rotero or any other citation tool, but it's good to manage your citation with a tool. It saves a lot of time for you when you use a tool. And why Rotego? Because it's free, of course, at the limited space, but I think it's enough for the research purpose. And in your proposal, I expect you use at least one citation management tool. You can use the tool you are most familiar with. So you will submit your research proposal in both like, okay, I think at least for the moment, I will require it in PDF format. But if I want to verify other things, I will ask you to submit in Microsoft Office Word form. But for now, I think a PDF is okay. And in Rotego, you can use like a intro the Rotego with the Firefox, or you can have Rotego standalone. That means as an independent software. And whenever you, why you, with a tool like this, you can cite a source directly from your, like, for example, you open one source and then you can directly press in your to go symbol, and then it will automatically record in your database. So you do not need to enter like a title, the author, or the publishers by yourself, but it will automatically take information from the website and then import in your database, and then you can use later on. Yeah. For this one, you download and you open it, and here you open your Word file, so it will be integrated in your Word file. So you can go to the tab like row, and then you can add and or edit a citation as you wish. And here, like you, if we have time, so we will have like a discussion in class by group. But I do not think with the online course like this, we have time or we have space to do so. So just give you an example when we do a course in class, so you will have like more activities together. But anyway, like we will spend some time for ask and question. And here is CV. So a question is, do you need to go deeper in this part, or you see all necessary point in your CV? You are very confident already. If you see it's not necessary to go deeper in CV session, so we can move another part.
For me, I think it's necessary.
Okay, thank you. So now, why we have to write a CV in your proposal? Because the purpose of your proposal is to show that you have capability to do your research, and of course during your research proposal somehow you present your experience or your capability already, but it's not enough. Of course you cannot say, okay, I'm from this university or I graduated from this high school in your research proposal. So that's why often with proposal, even they do not ask you, but still you should attack research as an annex of your research proposal. And to convince people that, okay, you have good qualification for the research proposal. So you see, even you have one CV already or some CVs already, but remember that for each application, you should have different CV form. You should not use only one CV for own purposes. Do not, try to specify your CV for each purpose. For example, here we talk about the CV for research proposal. So for CV research proposal, we should only mention what part will support your research proposal. Because the purpose of your application is like to get funding for your research. So you should only mention what part will support your research proposal. Yeah, as you see, it's not one size fits all. So have to tailor your CV to each position or each funding you are applying for. So matching up your CV with the organization. And okay, in your CV for research proposal, you should spend more time to space to present the certificate, the degree relevant to the research. Even for some very short course, but it's very the content or the target of those costs very close to the field you are applying. So you should mention it. Even like 1 week or even few days cost you attend or online course you attend. So you should mention in your CV that, okay, I have attended this course from university, for example, and it, and not very often we mention about the like specific cost in one program. For example, from your bachelor program, for a master program, you have many courses, and then of course not often we list the name of the course that you have done, or even the name of the project you have done during your course. But when you do prepare research CV for research proposal, you have to select one of few courses that have contents knowledge very close to what you are using for your research. And if you have also like some project done about this topic, please write down and give 1 or 2 sentences about that. So we have less information about other part, but we have more information about the relevant professional activities regarding to the research topic you are applying for. So that is important. Why? Because reviewers will see, okay, he or she had some relevant courses already, so they should know how to use tools or how to analyze, how to collect data, how to analyze data for his or her research. Because for some courses, the title is quite general. They do not show the main contents or the relevant contents for the research. And nowadays they have very small field for each topic, each subject. So if we can specify the knowledge, the experiments about the topic, so you will have more advantage compared to other applicants. And here, that's like a very basic information. So make it like in the way, international way, like understandable and also like even like interest. We should mention like very clearly, and even for telephone number or email, of course, not they often now they will contact you by telephone number, but yeah, but still like you have to take care of that. Like in the right, like if they can call you from international, it still works. And here, as I said, of course, for one CV, still we have to have all necessary part, basic parts, but try to focus on what support does support your research proposal. And feel free to have very short sentences, present what you have done or your expertise. And for CV for research proposal, it should be like a skills based. That means you will focus more on your skills, on knowledge and experiments. Yes, and you can see here mention relevant modules in your study here. Yeah. And remember that like sometimes we can see like people mention about the primary school because they say they thought is that school is really like famous. But remember that when we at higher degree, we do not need to mention about the primary school, even secondary schools. Sometimes, yeah, at the moment, high school still work somehow, but not really important. Except you have very like remarkable achievement from your high school. For example, like you got national or international prize on mathematics, physics, or whatever. But like you got a very like remarkable achievement only. If not, you also like ignore high school as well. Yes, so yeah, you don't have to put your grade on if you are not happy with them. Like, okay, you complete some modules, and if you got like a 20 plus 20 is okay, or 18 for example, 19. So you can write out it. But if you got only like 10 or 12, so okay, just present, you attend this code and you complete this module, and then you have also completed one like a project on that topic, but do not put your grade if it's not really like excellent. Yeah. For experiments, as we said, do not list on jobs or on activities, but only like the most relevant, and don't list only like your position or duty, but list your skills. Okay, so I think that is like some advice for your CV. And now we can start the session for like asking and answering own questions for this course in general, and for your research proposal or for the final report in this course. Yeah, we can start, and it's time for you to talk. Yeah, thank you. Do you have any question? Hello? Any of you have questions? Or everything is clear?
No, I don't have any question.
So you got all the information you need for the final report?
Yes, your email is very detailed.
Okay, so I'm happy with that because yeah, it's, everything is clear. And okay, so anything else you want to discuss, or anything else you want to know more or ratify or anything? Okay, it's good. So if you do not have any concern questions, so I will give back to you 20 minutes. And yeah, today should be a very busy day for you. So yeah, we can start and we can stop the session now.